there was somebody else he was sure I was sleeping with, and it was a revolving door at the time. A painting I had hanging on the wall, done by my ex, who's an artist. That was one day he was convinced that was proof I was sleeping with her, or having an affair with her. I didn't really love him, and all the while I'm madly in love with him and trying to convince him. So March started with this picture of him doing a shot, and he was kind of saying, let's send it to your dad to show support. And what I remember of March is just like it's almost like it was a never-ending fight. It was just, there were breaks in it. What kept me in it is because I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, you know, the sobriety shoe, if you will. I kept waiting for him to get to the point where it's not supportable or anymore, and he's done with it and he's ready to get clean.
We are bringing back the Dark Moon Greatsword once again for another action-packed piece.
And it was one fight after the other. March.
So let me start with the painting incident. Please tell the jury what happened on that particular incident with the painting.
As I mentioned, the painting, which had been hanging there for months, one day he kind of stayed up doing cocaine, just drinking, doing cocaine, music, which is not in and of itself that weird in my relationship with Johnny at this point. You know, like he stays up and keeps weird hours and smokes and stuff. But he was drinking brown liquor and doing a lot of cocaine, and it was like, it became clear to me in that argument, if you will, that he wasn't making sense. He had effectively just taken, it seemed like, a turn and had decided that the painting was
Stars are ruined
the big
as much as possible.
That he could
Ain't
not
a comment.
forgive me for. It meant I was having an affair with my ex-partner, whom I had already split, and it made no sense to me. So I'm trying to kind of quell the accusations by saying, you know, it's been there, and what are you talking about? And it's like, that doesn't mean anything. And, you know, he was demanding I take it down. He eventually takes it down and tries to burn it, but it was unsuccessful, luckily, because he was not, he wasn't with one of those normal, what do you call it, Bic lighters. He wasn't very successful at doing it while drinking, to the extent he was. But I remember it was this kind of ridiculous fight. Like, didn't feel like it needed to be an argument, but it seemed like nothing I could do, nothing I could say. I tried leaving. I left the room. I left the house. I eventually came back. It was like a whole night, an evening, a night, and then a morning of this. So this morning in particular, I think it was the 22nd of March. There were several incidents in March, though. But in this particular one, he had something to go to. He was filming with Keith Richards and Tom Waits.
Well, let me, before you go into that part, let's pull up Defendant's Exhibit 161, which is already admitted into evidence, I believe, Your Honor.
Yes, 161 with redactions.
Thank you. And I'm going to show you Defendant's Exhibit 161. And the date on this is 3/12/2013, and it's a text exchange between you and Mr. Depp. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. And the first one is from you to Mr. Depp. Just thought you should know there exists a book. Is that to you? Is it to Mr. Depp from you, or
it's Johnny texting me?
Now, I'm sure most of you probably think I'm on Elden Ring.
Disco.
Soldier, our battle will be legendary.
Moment.
Oh.
And I'm not going to
Much
repeat
for
the rest of
clicking
it.
on the video.
Could
Today,
you
I
tell
will be
the
showing
jury
you
what happened on that Friday night.
I've got lightning.
And right now,
There were, like I said,
I'm
there
pretty
was
much
a few
deciding to
different-
use whatever I want.
incidents in March. I believe this one happened
In diesem Video
in
geht
the
es
Eastern
einen
Columbia
Feuermagier.
one of
Deutlich
Johnny's
auch mit dem goldenen
penthouses
Steck, nämlich
right
Schaden
downtown,
gehst,
a
dann
different part
siehst du,
of
dass
Los
das
Angeles. And we'd sometimes go there. I remember he was accusing me again of sleeping with this artist, this musician who I'd never slept with. I was denying it. I barely knew the person. And then he was accusing me of sleeping with my friend in Spain. And I remember nothing I could do. He like called this person on the phone and screamed at him. He didn't speak English, so he was really confused as to what he was being yelled at by Johnny. But I remember those were the accusations. That was the fight. But it was one to the next accusation. And I remember I was kind of doing that juggling act. I was in one of these fights, I believe it's this one, in his downtown ECD, we call it, loft. And we're in the kitchen living room area, and he backhands me. And, you know, it was, you know, he wears a lot of rings. I remember kind of just feeling like my lip went into my teeth, and it got a little blood on the wall.
It's been a while.
Just
My condolences.
that simple, a little bit of blood on the wall. As hard as it is,
I was still.
as hard as it is to explain this, I was so caught up in the relationship and also very occupied in defending what I only could assume he believed, these accusations, that, you know, I didn't internalize, like, I didn't make that big of a deal of it. I pride myself on being tough, and, you know, I don't make a big deal out of, you know, smaller injuries. And I know that's
easy,
sounds
but also extremely
horrible
fun.
because it
Quick shout out to our sponsor AOP.
and hard maybe to understand, but my best way to cope with it is I kind of, you know, minimize it, make sure no one make sure he knows that I'm tough and can't knock me down, and make a joke of it, clearly. Make light.
I'm going to, Michelle, if you can take this one down and bring up 170A. Did there come a time in March?
Well, hey, what's going on, guys?
Amber,
Welcome
where you
back.
sent
Thank you
a
so much for
picture to
clicking
your
on
mom?
the video. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys a god tier.
Yes,
hey, what's
this
going
is,
on, guys? Welcome back. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Today,
sometime in
hopefully
March,
nothing will be able to touch you,
2013.
making this one of the best intelligence
I sent it to her
shows
because I'd
in
been
Elden.
texting about some of the craziness,
Focus on
and I
health,
objection
but I want
hearsay.
you to like it even more now. You are level
I'll
15.
sustain as to what she may have texted.
Something
Next
like
question.
that. So this is always be
Without saying what you said in
it-
the text, explain
your
why you
spouse.
were sending
And
it
this is
to your
gonna-
mom.
I was reaching out. I was very lonely in what I was living in, and I wanted help. I wanted advice, help. I just wanted to talk to somebody and figure out how I could make this stop.
And is this a picture that you took of yourself in March of 2013?
I did.
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 170A.
Any objection?
No objection, Your
All
Honor.
right, 170A in evidence. You can publish the picture.
Thank you, Your Honor. And how did you sustain that bruise, Amber?
I had thrown Johnny slapped me. I walked away from him, and that made it worse. We got into like a shouting match. And he kind of did this thing with his body where I could tell he was going to hit me again. I picked up I remember it kind of like a little pot, not a pot, but like a vase. And I remember I got away from him enough as he reels back. I threw it in his direction, and I actually managed to get away before he got me. He grabbed me by the arm, and he kind of just held me on the floor, screaming at me. I don't know how many times he hit me in the face, but I remember being on the floor of my apartment, and I remember thinking, how could this happen to me again?
Started at 3/23/2013. Scroll up. This is a text message exchange with your mom, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Let's scroll down.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to hearsay.
Let's wait until we get to the spot. All right, and is this the picture that you sent to your mom on 3/23/2013?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of 170 just to take that picture that's on the text. Well, it says from 2 weeks ago.
Your Honor.
I'll sustain the objection.
If we redact it from 2 weeks ago, can we admit it then? And then just have the showing that she sent it to her mom?
Maybe approach her.
Okay. Evidence with redaction.
Will we publish to the jury, please? And that's the picture you sent to your mom
Yes, it is.
on March 23rd, 2013.
Yes, it was from a previous fight. The bruise.
All right. Now, did you have any other altercations in March 2013 with Mr. Depp?
Yes, we had a couple of these fights in Orange that were around this time, one of which I started to tell you about the painting.
You know, and I know I've interrupted you now twice on that, but I realized the jury was not what you mean by Orange, at Orange.
Sorry, Orange was my apartment that I kept in Los Angeles at the time.
And it was an apartment. What type of an apartment?
I rented the top of a duplex, so it was a house with the landlord living on the bottom floor. I rented the top floor.
Okay, thank you. Now, please continue with the painting. I'm sorry.
It seemed like nothing I could say to Johnny would convince him. He wanted me to remove the painting, and he wanted me to admit to this affair that I wasn't having, and I didn't want to admit to it because it's not true. So I held out, and he just drank more and did more cocaine. And I woke up the next morning, I think it was on the 22nd or the 23rd. I woke up in the morning and the breakfast table was like cocaine and booze, and I realized that I wasn't going to be able to talk I wasn't going to be able to talk our situation down. I wasn't going to be able to talk him out of it, and he was just so convinced that I was fighting with him or the reason that he wouldn't leave the house, and he had something to go film that was important people waiting for him. And I remember people were reaching out, his assistants, his manager's sister, everyone was wondering where he was, and I kept feeling embarrassed and unable to move this person out of my house. I couldn't calm him down. I couldn't change. He was just so the details of this affair that I wasn't having. And me pointing out the cocaine wasn't making the situation any better, made me the bad cop. The not an act. So eventually I called my sister. He had a kind of a buddy-buddy relationship with her at the time, and at the time she occasionally did cocaine. I didn't, but she did. So I was like, hey, come take over. Maybe you can buddy him and talk him into leaving the house, just getting out of the house. And she did. I remember his assistants trying to get him out. Like, we eventually in the evening, I think early evening, he finally agrees to leave, but I can't tell our relationship status. I can't tell if he still is convinced of these things or if he's just going to sleep it off and it's going to go back to normal sobriety, sorry phase. And he was still upset, but like seemingly calming down, so I agreed to go with him and go to the shoot. I had plans, so kind of reluctantly agreed, but didn't want to set anything off. I didn't want to engage anymore. I didn't want to do anything to be perceived as antagonizing him or engaging more. So I went with him. We grabbed the dogs. We get in the car. We're on the way there. We're headed up. Sweetser is the street. It's a major street that leads up to Johnny's houses. He effectively owns the end of the street. It's like a cul-de-sac. So we're nowhere near his home, but we were driving up this street, and he has the window down. He's smoking. It wasn't all the way down, but he's constantly smoking. And at some point, he starts howling out of the window, and then grabs two small dogs. Well, one's Johnny's dog, and one's my dog. He grabs, if I remember correctly, Boo, his dog, slightly chunkier teacup looking, grabs this teacup looking and pulls Boo out of the moving car. And he's howling like a dog. Everyone in the car, forget it. I too was like torn as to what I should do because I didn't want to do anything to cause him to react, drop the dog, just hearing noise. calls and conversations with everyone seemingly so stressed about.
Objection, hearsay.
Somebody else said just what you observed.
I understood everyone was stressed, seemed stressed about the tardiness. See, let's get in there. So we get in there. And yes, when we get in, I mean, we walk into this house where everyone is waiting for him, and everyone smiles and says,
Objection, hearsay.
Sorry. Let's pull up 167A. That you took this that morning, is that
Yes.
correct? Could you tell the jury what the box is that has the property with the skull bones, property of JD?
That's Johnny's drug box. I've seen it used for pills, but at the time it was bags of coke, like dime bags of coke.
Okay. And what are these white lines on the table to the left of that box? That is cocaine. And do you know what is in these two glasses that you
Yes, they're different. Actually, it's confusing. They're different. Different liquids. The one in the back and the larger glass is, I believe, these tabs of Baroka tablets. And anyway, I remember at the time that that's what I was getting my waters that just come back from France. They sell them in the brown wooden shops. It's Johnny's but, at that time, March 2013, still didn't have the, hard line. I didn't keep that, in my freezer sort of attitude or posture with him. I wasn't that bold at the time, I didn't like it, but I didn't have that strength. I kind of, at that time, I think, was doing things I trained to put out when I could.
So, what is the bag, the brown bag on the left side?
That's a doc kit. It's, his prescriptions and cigarette, tobacco, weed, things like that.
Okay, and then above it there appears to be a CD. Do you recognize that?
Yes, it's the single, I believe is what it's called, single detail at the time that think that's the song that they were filming a video for, if I'm correct.
Now, did you end up sending a copy of this picture to Rocky?
I did. I sent it to my best friend.
Objection. Hearsay.
Okay, you can't say what you said. You said it. Let's go to 160.
Objection.
And is this the text message, the email that you sent to Rocky with this picture?
Yes.
Now I'm going to take you to, let's go to Hicksville. Let's tell the jury about Hicksville, May 2013. Can you tell the jury what transpired at Hicksville?
It was it's a trailer park. So these are the trailers, and I had a plan to go there with friends, and we were going to do laffy, as you said, laffy drugs, mushrooms, eat mushrooms. There's really not a lot of get away. We made this plan. And it was going fine. Kind of a party out together with a few friends and campfire and music. But I don't know who somebody brought it to me, and it was being passed around, and so we took it. Kind of starting to feel the effects, I guess, so that's what I described. Yeah. We were sitting around a campfire all this time. Her head on my shoulder, and wrapped it on. I took it, to be the effects of the drug. Gets really activated with herself. So it's like, well, at first she thought he was kidding too. I think he was at first, that it was a joke, but he was like, hey man, what are you doing? And she kind of giggled. And I knew in my body just instantly